Ah, Erev Tov, good evening. Welcome back to our money workshop. Wealth and money. Now, we're sitting in the third chapter already. You guys had plenty of homework by now to do. And some of you might have even done it. So, so let's hear if there's anybody in the crowd that wants to share a piece of their experience. Anybody had an experience with some of their homeworks? Aha.
Would you like to see my wallet?
There we go.
I'm trying.
Excellent. So the idea was for us to develop the philosophy where it's not the wealth, it's what we do with it. It's never the element itself, it's never the material thing, it's always the value we put on it. So when we ask for something, we need to take it in proportion of asking it for. There are rules of asking things from God. There are ways to get things. Just like, well, it's a very crude example, but just like when we go to the ATM machine, there's certain rules we need to know in order to get money out of the device, right? You need to put in your card, to put it with the in the correct direction, punch in the right codes, and only then are you privy to have access to your own money, to money that is meant for you. Same thing here. God says, hey, you've got money waiting for you. You have to know the right codes. One of the codes is, what do you want to use the money for? Okay? You can ask for anything you want. I saw people ask for tens of millions of dollars and receive it by ways nothing short of a miracle. But they asked it for the right reasons. Okay? Now, God doesn't have a bank limit. He doesn't have a funding limit. He doesn't have a problem sending you whatever is good for you. Let's just make sure that it's going to the right place. So the idea with breaking down the money you ask for to actual goals is to learn to calculate in advance what do you want it for. Not just with money, with anything else. I also do this with couples that come to me, with single people that come to me. They say, look, I want you to help me decide, if this such and such partner is good for me or not. I want to know if I should marry him or her or not. I said, depends on what you're getting married for. Whether this partner is right for you, this partner is definitely right. The question is for what? What are you getting married for? Now, if you don't know why you're getting married, then he's definitely not the right partner for you. No one is. Okay, the same thing here is with wealth. Wealth is a wonderful thing if you use it right. If you're going to use it wrong, it's really bad for you. Sedar? So, today we're going to focus on two major subjects. The first is what we started talking last session, Me'asrot. Giving 1/10 or 1/20 of your income to what the Torah defines as charity.
Tuma.
That's right. Now, it's a point to make. The Torah does not leave definitions up to us. It defines for us the rules of the game. It then gives us a choice to pick. But we don't get to make our own rules. The rules are already made. It's very important to know that when people talk about interpretations of the Torah, interpretations are not something that's open for people, even for sages, to make based on however they think or see things. There are certain rules as to how to interpret the Torah, and even those are given. So the rules of the game are given. How much charity you should give, to whom you should give, when you should give, it's all given. You choose whether to give or not. Okay, you choose whether to adhere to the rules or not. But we don't get to make our own rules. So the first thing is that. Second thing, we're going to learn about all kinds of things that can help you either increase or chas v'shalom reduce your wealth. Okay? actions that have spiritual impact, which then affect your wealth. Okay? One of which we already learned, it's tzedakah, it's giving 1/10 to charity. We're going to learn a few more. We discussed cherishing and honoring one's wife and spending money on her.
Basically, if a man doesn't have money, he just should buy a present for his wife.
That's pretty much how it
This is
works.
good.
Uh-huh.
Right.
And just being a curious Baal Tshuva, I try things out. Okay, I'm like, you know what? Because I'm like, it says it, and the nice thing about it is that we don't take things to be, oh, this is a nice saying, it's like helping old people cross the street. It's not like that at all. You know the story about the Boy Scout that came, half an hour late to the meeting. They asked him, where were you? He said, I was helping an old woman cross the street. I said, that's very kind of you, but why are you half an hour late? He said, she didn't want to cross. So it's not just, it's not nice sayings, respect the elderly, and it's not like that. When the Torah says things and it tells you the rules of the game, these are realities. It's like when you study the rules of gravity in physics school. It's not a nice thing to know. It's a reality. You just happen to come to know it. It doesn't change it, okay? So they said, respect your wife, you should get rich. So I said, okay, I'm in pretty bad financial trouble. Let's try it out. So I started, buying her flowers and gifts and whatever I could afford financially. And yeah, as you spend, things happen and your income grows and you spend some more, and you see it one-to-one. So I've tried it in the past. I told my grooms before they got married. They tried it. They saw it happen. We see it happen. But this is not something we can test God on. What we can test God on, and God says, if you want to test me, this is how you test me. And the rules are like this. You take 20% of your income. This is how you test God. This is not necessarily how you do charity. You can do charity with 5% of your income. You can do charity with 1% of your income. But if you want to be able to test God, if He's going to make you wealthy or not, we do like this. We take 20% of our income and we give it to what God defines as charity. Now, charity is broken down to systems. There's the highest grade, and then from there on it breaks down to lower and lower and lower grades. First things first is the poor people of the city, neighborhood where you live in. That's where your immediate obligation goes to. Okay? Or your family. Your immediate and then more distant family. Say that? So if Chas v'Shalom we have a poor brother or father or son or daughter, we need to take care of them first. And then the people of your immediate city. Now, whom are the highest level of charity and who's a lower and who's a lower and who's not charity at all? So it goes like this. All of those foundations, Save the Dolphins and that stuff, that's a very nice thing to do. That's not called charity. It's a nice thing to do. It's like helping some cat in the street. It's not called charity. You don't get a return on your investment. Okay? Who's the highest? So in order to understand who's the highest, we're going to go back in history. How far back? About 300 years. Okay? When the nation of Israel comes out of Egypt, they're then divided into tribes. We got 12 tribes. So far so good? The central tribe, Levi, is divided into two. Kohanim and Levim.
What was the other one?
Kohen,
And?
Levi.
Oh, so
Levi is the actual tribe name.
yes.
Within it
Ah.
there is a subcategory called Kohanim. Kohanim are the children and children's children of Aharon.
Of Abraham.
Aharon.
Aaron.
Aaron. Yeah. Moshe's brother.
Yes.
Say that?
Okay, you've just helped me because I went to a class last night and they mentioned that the Levites didn't sacrifice the golden calf. And I said, what about the Cohen? And they said the Cohen are the Levi, and I didn't know what he was talking about.
They're a subcategory.
The subcat, so there's two category in the Levi. You've just explained it to me.
Aharon is a Levi.
Sorry?
Aharon
Yes.
and Moshe are both
Both
Levi.
Levi, yeah.
Okay, the whole tribe is a Levi. Now, out of that tribe,
Yes.
Aharon and his children and children's children
Yes.
are Kohanim.
And what about the ones of Moses? What are they? They're still Levi.
No,
They're
they're
Israel.
still Levi.
They're still Levi.
Yeah.
But which is on a higher level, Levi or Cohen?
Kohen, definitely.
Cohen, definitely.
Yeah, Kohen.
Wouldn't Moses' children be on a higher level than his
Mamash
brother?
lo,
No?
Kohanim are the ones who work in Beit HaMikdash,
Yes.
in the temple. They're the only ones who can sacrifice. They're the
Yes.
only one who can work in Beit HaMikdash.
Yeah.
And we are commanded, there is an actual command to honor, respect, and make them a priority. If I'm at a meal, right, you're a Kohen, nachon? If I'm serving, right, everybody's sitting around,
Yes.
I'm about to serve food,
Yes.
he's going to get it first.
Okay. But the children of Moses, are they called Levi or Cohen? That's why I'm confused.
Levi.
They're still Levi.
Yeah.
So in other words,
Only the
Aaron's
children of
on
Aaron.
a higher level than Moses. I don't
Nachon.
understand that because Moses was the greatest prophet.
No,
Nachon.
Moshe was not a Levi. No, Aaron.
Moses
Aaron
was a
prophet.
Levi, and so was
Yes.
Aaron.
The whole tribe, everybody,
Yes.
his father, everybody,
Sorry
the
to
whole tribe.
get you off track.
No, perfectly fine, because this is what we're about to discuss anyway, so
Oh.
it's on track.
Okay.
So, when they were about to enter Israel,
Yes.
they divided up the country. Okay? Moshe divided up the country, and he said, okay, every tribe is going to get a piece of land. And they get to work the land. Whether they're next to the sea, so they get to go fishing and earn their money from fishing. Whether they're in the mountains, they can raise goats and sheep. They have land, they can raise a produce. Okay? When it came to Kohanim, Kol Shevet Levi, the whole tribe of Levi, you get nothing. You only get a few cities to sit in, not a few cities to sit in, but you don't get any land to work. So, what am I going to earn my living from? How am I going to earn my living? We have to understand there was no stock market back there, right? So no stock market, no internet trading, no eBay. How am I going to earn a living? Kadosh Baruch Hu says, look, you don't need to worry about it. You are my workers, you're my personal army, you're my immediate, the servants of the king do not have to worry about being hungry. Right? You guys don't have to worry about being hungry. First of all, out of the sacrifices and almost anything that the nation of Israel brings Beit HaMikdash every year, you guys are going to get a part. Okay? And they're going to also pay you to do individual services. For example, anyone here has a firstborn baby boy?
Did you know Ben?
Nachon? Right? When a baby boy is born, and if he's the first child for his mother,
But only with regular birth.
only with regular birth, then that child, 30 days after he's born, needs to be bought back from the Kohanim. Okay? Because every firstborn automatically belongs to
The Cohen.
God, to the Kohanim. You want your son? He's not your son. You can buy him. Okay? Today's rate is roughly 400 and something shekels. Yeah, it's got a price. There is a price. You actually pay it. It's a certain amount of silver. And as the price changes, so does what you pay changes. So I had to buy my son back from a Kohen. Okay? Which was great. Okay? I actually told the Kohen that, if it was up to me, he could keep it. Because the Kohen we bought it off of was my rabbi. My rabbi is a Kohen. So I said, look, as far as I'm concerned, I cannot see a better home for him to grow than your home. So have him. He said, well, check with your wife. I did, and she didn't agree. Okay, now she regrets it, but she didn't agree back then. Okay, so then the Rambam writes that since Bet HaMikdash was burnt, was destroyed, today anyone who wishes to take upon himself the learning, the teaching, and the doing of God's work is in the category of Kohen, and God still secures his income under the same promise that he gave the Kohanim when they entered Israel. So our first and highest degree of charity is to the needy people who study Torah within your community. So you find a kollel, and within the kollel you find a needy family of a Jew who, just like the Kohanim, have set out to do God's work. And just like we used to go to Bet HaMikdash and give the Kohanim a part of our sacrifice or a part of our annual gifts which we used to bring to Bet HaMikdash, we do the same thing today. That's the highest level of charity, and this is where we're allowed to test God, by giving 20% to that individual group, and we can even say it out verbally. I'm doing this, I'm giving this charity in order to test whether God will make me wealthy or not. Okay? So we learn the rules of the game. If anybody wants to... Now, it doesn't mean that if you don't do it, you cannot still be wealthy. You could. If wealth was set for you, you will be wealthy. But here you can test God even if wealth was not set for you.
They still come after the poor people in your city and their family.
No, these are the poor. These are the poor people in your city that has the highest priority.
Okay.
The poor people in your city, which one? There are many.
Okay.
Who has the priority?
So it's which poor?
The Avrahim who study Torah.
I have a question.
Yes.
So let's say, okay, you can donate money to like poor families. That's one thing. But you can also donate money to the shul or to like Bet Chabad or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
That's beautiful, but that's not under that. That's second degree.
okay, so
Shul, Bet Chabad, I don't know, helping some, poor people in general. They're great. They come second. Then there is third. Okay? There's fourth, there's fifth, there are different degrees. We're talking about what's the highest.
okay, so that is to give like to a poor family which is sort of religious. I mean,
Not sort of religious. The guy is studying Torah all day. He's an avrech.
okay. But where do I find those people?
The equivalent of a Kohanim back in the day. What did the Kohanim do all day long? What was the job of a Kohen? He didn't have any land, he didn't have sheep. What did he have?
To learn Torah.
What did he do? He either learned Torah, teach Torah, or worked in Bet HaMikdash. There was nothing else, right? That's the equivalent of that. Today is an avrech.
For this video, you have to put 10% on this only, or you can
20%.
divide.
20%. If you want to
If
test
you
out God,
If you don't want to test, if you just give.
if you just want to give, you take 10%, and then you divide it up between the different levels. Okay?
Can I ask you a really complicated question?
You can ask. I don't know if I'm going to know the answer, but you feel free to ask.
Okay, so essentially, like we pay this, we pay everything. We pay it through tax, essentially, today in Israel, instead of Israel. So essentially, like we pay sort of maaser for the tax system, essentially.
Nachon.
Okay, so I mean,
Out of what you pay in the tax system, 0.0000 and a few more zeros, and then maybe a 1%
Okay.
goes someday maybe to an avrech.
I see.
You see what I mean?
Okay.
Most of it goes into different systems, which are essential and are necessary, but they're not giving money to the Kohanim. When you pay to pave the street down here, so people can have all kinds of parades on top of it,
Oh, yeah.
that's not called giving charity. Okay? When you pay some army sergeant to drive around in an expensive car and have a private chauffeur, that's not called giving charity. And you're paying that.
Yeah, obviously.
So yeah, there is some percentage of that goes to it, but that's not called giving charity. Giving charity is taking at least a tenth of your income, at least.
Yeah.
Okay, God gives you 10 parts, you take one of it, and you give it out to charity. The example we gave before, remind me?
Shaoli.
Shaoli.
Yeah.
His name. Shaoli. The thing we discussed with Shaoli before was that the right perspective is like this. Let's say you were in charge of giving salaries in your company. Okay? Now, let's say your team includes 5 different people, including yourself. So I give you 5 salaries. You then go and you give 4 salaries to other people and you keep 1 for yourself. Are you being kind by giving the 4 salaries to people, or are you just doing what this money was given to you for? See what I mean? So 1/10 of your income is never meant for you.
Yeah.
God didn't give it to you. If you earned $10,000, you did not earn $10,000. You earned $9,000 and were given $1,000 in order to pass on to poor people.
Now I have a question. How do you do that, for instance, every month after you receive your salary, practically with this 10%?
That's exactly what I want to ask. Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you asked.
Yes.
It's really not complicated. Once I find the venues, a kollel, for example, today kollel make it really easy. They have horaot keva, right? So if I have a fixed income, or I have a minimum income I know that I have every month, I just go over there and I sign a horaat keva. Everybody knows what a horaat keva is? A horaat keva is a monthly
Direct debit.
bank transfer.
Debit, automatic debit.
Automatic monthly bank transfer, right? So I know that I earn $10,000 a month. I know that $1,000 of it at least I have to give to charity. And I know that I would like to give this specific kollel at least $500.
So you choose one specific avrech to give this 10% to?
You
Or
could,
divide-
you either could pick one specific avrech, or you give it to the head of the kollel and you say, look, pick your poor people
Alright.
and give it to them. You know their life, because not everybody likes to share their financial situation. So the head of the kollel knows, maybe the rabbi in the community knows, but they don't want everybody to know that they're poor.
I see.
So this is not public information in most cases. So I give it to the rabbi in the community, I give it to the head of the kollel, and I tell them specifically where I want this money to go. I want this money to go to a family that the father is learning Torah, teaching Torah, they're poor, they have children, they have bills to pay, and they have difficulty closing the month. I then become a partner in God's support of these people. And as a partner, I'm privy to dividends.
So is that considered tier 1 or tier 2?
Tier 1.
So you
That's
could
the highest level.
so you could give it to somebody else to do it for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, okay.
Definitely. Matter of fact, the highest level of charity is when you don't know whom you give it to, and he doesn't know whom he received it from.
So this-
That, by the way, I never found in any other religion. If you guys can find it
because you want
anywhere
to feel,
else, let me know.
Because you want to feel the reward. Like, you go to that person, you want to feel that this person is happy that you gave him the money.
Nachon. But the moment that I have any kind of reward here in this world from a mitzvah, it takes away from the spiritual strength and power of it. If it's purely done for the sake of a mitzvah, it has the highest power. So by not even knowing who it is and not getting the satisfaction of seeing him happy, that's the highest level. In addition to that, he's not embarrassed, he's not ashamed. And there are families like that, you know, they get an envelope in the mail or they get a bank deposit, they have no idea where it came from. I know that in our kollel there is a family that we know their financial situation is bad. He's never asked for charity, but we know his financial situation is bad. Before every holiday, the avrachim themselves, the ones who are not doing that great financially themselves, nonetheless, they go around and they put as much money as they can, and they just make sure that he finds in his jacket an envelope with some money to help him through the holidays.
Can I have one question?
Sure.
You said that the poor people in the city are equal to your own family, correct?
Your family comes first.
First. So, where do you set the limit about giving to the family?
We try.
Because if you've got
we try to.
5 children or something,
Yeah, we try to give some to everyone. The Rambam was asked that
do
question.
they have to be poor children, or do you just?
Yeah, if they're not poor, then that's not called charity.
Okay, I'm just asking because
If they're not poor, then I'm just doing a nice fatherly
That's what
or
I mean.
motherly thing. It's not called charity. It's only charity if they're poor.
okay, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, if you have a brother who's also an avrech, who lives in your city and who's poor, you're set. Okay. Now I know a lot of families who do this. They have 1 or 2 people who decide to become avrechim, and they're great. I mean, they support him, so they benefit from it. He benefits from it. Everybody's happy. Say that?
What if you don't belong to a specific community?
Even if you don't belong, as long as they live in your city,
You have to live in your city.
yeah, then you're good. That they don't have to. That's priority number 1. Priority number 1 is always to. I'm sorry.
What if you don't have in your city? I'm thinking when I was living in France, I was giving.
Which city did you live in France?
I lived one city which was outside Paris, and then I lived in Paris, but I didn't have a specific community.
Doesn't matter. Then take the closest community to you. Look for a group of poor people who
I mean, does it have to be, especially in the city, or can it be people you know that are in Israel, for example?
then it's not priority number 1. It's not priority number 1. The Gemara says, Aniyei beitcha kodmim. The poor people of your home are first. Now home just breaks down in radius, right? From your physical home out. As the distance grows, it goes down. So that as far as charity goes. Of course.
Here in Tel Aviv, on everyday basis, you see like a lot of people that ask you for money. Now, you don't really know if they're doing it like for right reasons, or maybe they're doing some dodgy act or whatever. I mean, okay, so if I'm not 100% certain, and they're giving the money to someone which, I don't know, maybe it's really poor guy, or maybe the money goes to drugs, I have no idea. I mean, is it still mitzvah or not really?
Or should you even do it if you're not sure?
It's an excellent question.
I mean, here in Tel Aviv, it's very common.
I understand. It's an excellent question. I don't even know if he's Jewish.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's Jewish. I don't know if he's poor. I don't know where the money is going.
Yeah.
In these cases, I take my own money, not part of the 10%, and I give him a little.
I see.
Okay? Now, if he's a career beggar, he doesn't get anything. Okay?
Steve, what do you mean by career beggar? Like,
Professional.
yeah.
Like, he's been begging here for the last 10 years, every single day.
Yeah, the outfield, they'll see around.
He's
Yeah.
constantly poor.
I'm sorry?
He stays poor.
I mean, don't be too sure about it. I mean,
It's
some of them, like, honestly, some of them, like, they have a car which they park nearby.
he's not joking at all. He's not joking at all. These are things that have been seeked out, tested, filmed, checked. It's true. There are cases like that.
And then we're like, once in 45 minutes, he gets into the car, switch on the engine, put on the aircon for 15 minutes, then go out again. I'm bored.
No. Yeah, I know of. You know a nice case. That's just a car. I've heard of direct testimonies of people who followed beggars whom they later on found own several properties. Now, what he did, he then sat down and tried to calculate how much does this guy make a day.
Okay.
A lot more than you do.
Yeah, maybe. So maybe I should change profession.
There you go. Okay, so now, so people who turned it
But
into a
rather, also
profession,
crime, so
if a person turned it into a profession, there's, you know, they don't really get much of, or almost anything out of me. Now, there is a matter of perception. Okay, after all, you're a Jew. After all, there's somebody asking for money. After all, there's a certain perception, there's a certain expectation from you. So you give something. But keep your 10% for people who are within the category, not outside of it. Okay? Stam kacha, if you're in Chutz La'aretz,
yeah.
it's only a matter of perception. Giving money to a non-Jew is not called charity for you. For them it is. For you
But
it's
it is
not.
also a human being in the end of the day
Nachon.
that you have to help if you
But,
can.
but it's not in your category.
So it's not called a mitzvah?
It is a mitzvah. It's
Okay.
not called charity.
Okay. But it's still a mitzvah.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Helping any human being,
Exactly, this is
helping
where I
any
was going.
animal is a mitzvah.
Yeah.
It's not called charity.
Yeah.
We have a lot of mitzvot. We're discussing, what's our subject?
Wealth.
Wealth, charity, money. Mitzvot, we want to talk, there's a lot of mitzvot. There's tefillin, there's mezuzot, there's a lot of mitzvot. Tzar ba'alei chayim, there's all kinds of mitzvot. We're discussing wealth. You want wealth? Wealth, first step is charity. Now, we said we're going to discuss how not to lose our money. Right? Now, we're going to set another foundation. The other foundation is this. Not knowing the rules of the game doesn't mean there are no consequences to your actions. God sets certain systems at work which are spiritual and are parallel to the physical. So not knowing water shorts out electricity does not mean that if you're going to pour water on your electrical socket, you're not going to short out your system and burn the fuse, right? But I didn't know. Well, now you know. But the fuse is still going to pop. The fact that you didn't know doesn't mean the fuse is not going to pop. So the spiritual consequences to your actions are still there even if you don't know them. What should you do? Learn them. So tonight we're going to learn some of them. Okay? So it goes like this. Everything good, Jonathan? Yeah? You're showering?
I was England.
Okay. So it goes like this. One of the when a person uses money in an incorrect halachic way, he then, of course, harms the path of fortune to himself. Nachon? So we need to know some of the do not do's of financial actions. First things first is don't take anything that might not belong to you. I didn't say it doesn't belong to you. None of you will take something that you know does not belong to you. When in doubt, don't take it. Ask. Okay? In Judaism, there is no such thing as a small theft or a large theft. If you go to the supermarket and you open one of those little boxes, you know, where they weigh the candies or whatever, and you take a couple of candies and you put it in your mouth, the equivalent of maybe half a shekel, right? Spiritually, there's no difference between that and between armed robbery at the bank where you walk away with $3 million. There's no difference. In spiritual terms, gezel is gezel, theft is theft. Taking money that doesn't belong to you is taking money that doesn't belong to you. The amount does not matter at all. Questions regarding that?
There's only one question.
Oh,
If a person steals food because they haven't got food and they're hungry,
Mm-hmm.
are they half forgiven? No.
No, there is no
I'm
forgiveness.
just asking.
No forgiveness.
Because a lot of people do steal because they haven't got money to buy.
The question is if it's the same kind of level of.
As far as having to give it back, it's as far as spiritual level, what they're going to be judged upstairs, I do not know. But did they steal? Yes. Is it gezel? Yes. Are they going to be judged for it? Yes. How they're going to be judged, what the court system will do to them, I do not know. But you cannot deny the fact that they stole.
Yeah.
And they have to give back. Okay? So someday, the moment he has 2 shekels, and with one he can buy himself a burekas, the other one he has to give back. So it's the fact that a person does not have money to eat does not give him a license to steal. Seder? Now there are a lot of cases in which we come to Gezel, we don't even know. Examples. We're given a car or a telephone from work. We use it outside the realms of what is permitted by our boss. We take breaks longer than our boss agrees. We make phone calls, of course. That's proper theft. 1-to-1. We make phone calls out of our, well, today is not much of an issue anymore, you know, because the prices of cell phone, phone calls, you know, from your cell phone went down. But, you know, if you make phone calls, either duration or the actual phone call itself from your boss's account, which he does not permit you to. If he allows you 15-minute breaks and you come back 18 minutes later, that's gezel. And as we said before, gezel is gezel. It doesn't matter if it's half a shekel or 20,000. Say there? So it's very important. Even if you're, what do you call it? Atzmai.
Independent.
Even if you're independent, self-employed. Okay? You're sent, you order 10 items of, I don't know, printer cartridges. You receive an 11th one. You go to the bank. The lady makes a mistake, counts the money, and she gives you 5 extra shekels. Even though the bank keeps ripping you off every single time you're there, even though by passing in front of it you get charged, okay? Nonetheless, taking a shekel that doesn't belong to you, even if it was done by accident, it's called stealing. Riding the bus without paying for it, it's called stealing. Now, gezel tzoek barosh, which means when you go to pray to God, if there is any gezel on you, not necessarily physically on you, but if you're in possession of any gezel, that gezel will strongly, negatively influence your prayer and the chances of it being received. All people say, I pray to God, I pray to God. But look, I'm still in the same trouble. Did you look at your bank account? Or in your drawer, in your desk? Do you see all the staplers over there? And all the pens? Where did they come from? If your boss is the one who paid for them, then you understand where the problem is coming from, right? So do not block the path of wealth to yourself. God wants to flow wealth upon you. You go and you take that pipe and you twist it, and then you wonder why there's nothing coming out of it. Pseder? So this is one thing we don't do. We're very, very, very careful with money. We're extremely careful with money. I don't take what does not belong to me. Nobody has ever gone poor because he did not steal. Pseder? Second thing that we should be very careful with, there is a forbiddance in the Torah for us to charge interest to our fellow Jew. Okay?
What the banks do in Israel.
Hmm?
What do banks do?
We'll discuss it. Don't worry. They're charging you out of your ears. Okay, interest and whatever they can pile up on top of it. We're going to find out some details about it, but first things first, we want to lay the foundation. Everybody knows about this, by the way. Everybody knows that one is not allowed to lend money or borrow money with interest. You guys know that? It's an actual forbiddance from the Torah, and both parties are in trouble. Even the one paying the interest is in trouble, even if he's willing and even if he doesn't mind. He says, look, I don't mind. It's an excellent deal for me. This guy is taking 10%, right? He's going to give me now $250,000. He's taking 10% interest. I'm going to make at least 25% off of this money. I don't mind. Here, take your 10%. I'm still left with 15. Excellent deal for everyone, right? Both people are not going to get up in Tchiyat HaMetim. Anybody knows what Tchiyat HaMetim is?
Resurrection.
Resurrection. When Mashiach is going to come, the dead are going to rise, and we're all going to rejoice and go up to Yerushalayim and build Beit HaMikdash. These guys are still going to keep lying down there. They're not coming back up. Say there? Because we're not allowed to give or receive interest. Now, how do the banks do it? How do businesses do it? Can I, as an individual, use these tricks or not? Hours can be spent learning the rules of it. Literally hours. I know that we went to a crash course, a very short course, in what's called Ribit, interest. The crash course was 7 1.5-hour lessons, which was just the highlights. Just kind of like to know where the red lights are. Okay? So it's about 10 hours just for the highlights. I'm going to give you a much shorter crash course. It goes like this. When you're dealing with official bodies like the banks, credit card companies, water companies, so on and so forth, and you're the owner of either a property or a business, or at least you're an employee somewhere, then you're still okay. Everything else could be an issue. Really simple issues. Now I'm going to bring up some examples for us to see what I'm referring to. My friend the Cohen here is gonna, you have children? Oh, gonna marry off a child.
He's only 11 years old.
You're still gonna marry him off.
7 years to go.
There you go. Or Bezat Hashem, 2 years from now, bar mitzvah. Nachon? Now we want to do a bar mitzvah, Rov Per V'Adar, a big hall, invite all the guests, right? So he calls me up and says, Paz, look, I could really use a loan right now. Few months, 6 months, a year at most, and you'll get back your money. So, not an issue at all. More than happy to. I have some money set aside. It's going to be a little while till my oldest is going to be bar mitzvah. Here, there is $50,000. Go have fun. Right? So you go and you throw a beautiful, nice bar mitzvah party for your son, and you pay back all the debts and this and that, and you save up your money, and 6 months later you come back to me and say, Paz, you really saved me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Here's your money, and as a token of my appreciation, there's a bottle of nice wine, 100 shekels, 200 shekel bottle of nice wine. I really appreciate it. You really helped me out. That bottle of wine is called interest.
No, but it's a present. It's an appreciation.
Very good.
No. It's not the same.
Very good.
Why? Somebody wants to give you a present, you're saying no? No. It's not like interest.
When a loan is in place when there was a loan of any form.
But it's separate from the loan.
Set up. When there is a loan in play, anything that comes due to that loan,
Yeah.
by definition is called by Jewish law, go ahead,
Stealing. I don't know.
interest.
Interest, okay.
Interest. Would he have given me 100 shekel bottle of wine without me giving him that loan?
And if he says it's not because of the loan, it's because
I don't care why he says it. Would he have given it to me? The answer is no. We're nice friends, but he's not going to give me a 100 shekel bottle of wine, right? Why is he giving me a 100 shekel bottle of wine? Because I gave him a loan. By definition, that becomes interest. Changing what you call it doesn't change its definition. Say there? If you call your brother your nephew, doesn't mean you can now marry him. He's still your brother. See what I mean? Changing the name does not change the entity. Doing, not only giving me anything, doing anything for me, he would not have otherwise done, is called interest. Okay? Let's say he's washing his car. He's like, you know what? Paz was so kind to me. His park is here. I'm already dirty. You know what? I've got some time. I'm going to wash his as well. So that takes him another 20 minutes. He washed his. He washes mine as well. If he would not have washed my car without that loan being in place, washing my car is now
Interest.
interest. And now it's going to get even worse. You ready? If he hasn't even gotten a loan from me, but he wants to get a loan from me, and he's washing my car in order for me to like him and to give him a loan,
This isn't.
that's called early interest.
But if you don't give him a loan, it's perfectly okay, right?
Yeah, of course, you're more than welcome to wash my car anytime. I'll tell you where it's parked. Go for it. Matter of fact, I'll give you the keys, you can detail it.
Oh, excellent. I'd love to take your keys and your car.
There you go. There is no loan in place.
Can you say that again? Because I think I missed that. If someone wants a loan and you don't give it to them, then
No.
what was the next sentence?
No, if somebody wants a loan
Yes.
and he wants to persuade me to give him a loan,
Oh, okay.
and he does things for me
Not to persuade you.
or gives me things in order for me to give him that loan, to persuade me to give him that loan, that's called interest as well, even though the loan hasn't taken place yet.
Okay.
Okay, it's called early interest. It's what the banks do, by the way. The banks take the interest before they take back the loan. But you guys know that?
Yeah.
When you go to the bank and you take a loan for $10,000, okay? And there is a $2,000 interest. The first $2,000 you're paying the bank is only the interest. You haven't even paid back your $10,000 yet. Yes.
Yeah, my question is, for instance, now let's say somebody gives to somebody a present because he really helped out, not in terms of money.
Mm-hmm.
Would you also consider that present as some sort of interest?
What kind of help? Helped me out without money being
Well,
involved?
nothing that has to do with money.
Not a
What about
problem at all.
barter?
You helped me move.
So, yeah.
And now,
you haven't-
I appreciate it, and I
Yeah.
take you out for dinner.
Yeah.
Perfectly
This is
fine.
Okay. I see.
However, if you lend me your car, that's a loan.
Yeah, I see.
If now I take a person out to dinner because he lent me his car, that's interest.
Okay.
Okay? We have to be very, very, very careful with interest. Interest is something that comes into play all the time because it's even with the smallest things. Okay? Now money keeps changing hands. We keep lending and borrowing things from people. A person can lend me his apartment. He's like, you know what? I'm going to be out of the country for a month. Why don't you take my apartment so you can save on rent? Right? I'm staying in his apartment. He lent me his apartment. As a token of my appreciation, I buy him a stereo or whatever. That's interest. If I would not have otherwise bought him a stereo, that's interest. Now, can there be interest between a father and a son?
Yeah, why not? If the father can lend the son money to buy property.
Absolutely.
How come?
How come what?
But
It
let's-
could be between a father and a son, not just between two people.
yeah, but
Not just what?
Between two people, it's not allowed. Between a father and a son, it is allowed.
No, it's not. I'm saying, could there be the concept of interest could exist between a
It
father and a
exists with
son?
everything.
That's right. Whom does it not exist between? Husband and wife.
Oh no, it does.
Husband and wife, because you don't really lend each other money.
Sure.
Okay? And if you do, and you give her something due to the loan, the condition was always that you wouldn't have otherwise done it without the loan. Well, you need to give your wife, buy her things all the time anyway, so that condition does not
But
apply.
what if she gives you like a present in return?
Again,
That's kind of interest.
as far as her giving it to
Yeah,
you.
she gave you a present because you gave her a present.
A present or a loan? A present is not a loan.
We'll call it a present.
You can call it whatever you want. A loan is something you give back. A present is not.
Or you could call a loan a present that, you know.
A loan is money.
A loan is not only
No, not
money.
necessarily
It's
money.
anything.
Oh,
Anything that could be equivalent of money. So interest is another issue. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the subject, the matters are super complex. I know that I constantly consult my local rabbis regarding this, because these things do become issues, even issue within family members. My brother borrows some money from me, I lend it to him, okay? Then I need the loan, he gives it to me. Now, let's say that he's in a bad financial situation. His financial situation is tight. If anybody else, even if I would walk up to him and ask him for a loan, he would tell me, I'm sorry, my financial situation is tight, I cannot really give you a loan right now. But since I gave him a loan a year ago, he now feels obligated and he would push himself to give me a loan. That's called interest. Okay? So we have to be very, very careful with these things. If I lend him dollars, okay, I gave him $5,000. He comes back to me a month later and gives the money back to me. The only issue is that when I lend it to him, the dollar was 3.5 shekels. Now he gives it back to me, it's 3.7 shekels.
What if it's the other
That's
way
interest.
around? What if it's the other way around? It's a loss.
That's not a problem. You're allowed to lose your money.
Why, thanks. I'd
You're
rather not to.
welcome. Don't have to. Don't have to. You can do a shekel borrowing money. Let's say he gives you $1,000. You tell him, look, I'm going to go today. Let's find out what's the rate today. I'm going to convert to shekalim today. Whatever the shekel value is, that's what I'm going to return to you. Do you accept? He says, yes, that's what you do. You don't need to lose money.
Okay.
Say there? But you also shouldn't be giving interest.
So what happens in your scenario?
What
Where it
the-
goes up.
I tell him, when I took the money from you, it was 3.5.
Uh-huh.
I took 1,000, I owe 3,500 shekels. 3,500 shekels in dollars today is, let's say, 950. There's your 950.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so what about inflation? Or deflation?
Yeah. What about that?
I mean, I guess the money can buy more or less.
Well, he said you are allowed to lose your money.
So,
So that solves that
okay.
problem.
As far as I know, we do not take inflation into account. However, in large sums and over time, it is recommended to ask a rabbi how to be able to compensate for inflation without going into the issue of rebate. Okay? There are ways, but you need somebody to guide you through the details.
Okay.
Say there?
So let's cut to the chase. Okay, so essentially, if I want to lend money, there's no way to get even around it. I mean, if you want to make a business out of it, there's not even a way to get around it. I mean, all those.
There are conditions.
Okay.
There are conditions. I was in a situation in which I needed money. I couldn't get money without interest.
Yeah.
I was then ready to pay interest for the money I needed to borrow. I consulted the rabbi. I told the rabbi, look, I need money. I can't get anybody to lend me the money without interest. The only people who are willing to lend it to me want interest. What are the conditions? How can I do it? What are the terms? What do I need to do? And can I even do it? He asked me a few questions. It wasn't a simple issue.
Yeah.
The conclusion from those questions was that I was privy. I was able to take a loan from that individual with paying interest under certain conditions, under certain terms, and we did the agreement under those terms.
Okay. Nice.
Okay?
So essentially.
But it's not a simple thing.
Yeah. So essentially, before taking a loan from the bank, you have to ask your consult your rabbi. Essentially.
נכון, בטח.
Okay.
בטח. Unless you have a business. If you have a business, you don't need to.
Okay.
And the money is going, by the way, to the business.
What about overdraft? Overdraft is also.
נכון,
is also-
נכון. Overdraft is also.
So before getting into a minus, you have to ask your rabbi.
That's right. That's why a lot of people, you'll see a lot of people who are Torah-abiding people, and they do not have their own businesses, and they do not use the money for their business, right? They don't own an apartment, doesn't have a business. He will open an account in Bank Ador. Why? No overdraft over there. You don't have money, nothing goes out. You can only go down to the zero.
Okay, that's interesting.
What about the interest they pay you in the bank?
Also,
You're not allowed to take that.
נכון? Same conditions that I said before.
So living in a
What do you with investing in a company? You're giving them a loan.
I'm sorry?
Investing in a company,
You're allowed to do that.
buying a bond, they're paying you
You're allowed
interest.
to do that. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to invest in a company
Uh-huh.
under what's called heter iska. Heter iska means that company needs to have a heter iska. Heter iska is a money arrangement that allows a business to give out interest by making you a partial partner.
Okay.
Okay? And then as a partner, you're allowed to get some of the profits. The profits you receive are the interest. So as I said, it gets complicated real fast.
Well, isn't that how the banks get away with it with regular clients when they give them a
נכון,
mortgage? They tell
נכון,
them,
but it
you're going to
doesn't-
make a profit, we deserve a profit.
On a mortgage, it's great because there is a business there. The property is a business. But
so
if you're
anybody who
just
has
taking,
a house is a business owner.
that's right.
By the Torah's
That's
definition.
right. If you have a house in Israel, you're definitely a business
So
owner.
then you're allowed to loan out money with interest.
Yes, for the purpose of the house.
It
what
somehow
about
could
the-
relate to the house. Is that kosher?
Yes.
I
What
mean, you
about-
buy things for the house without interest.
If you're buying it for your stomach, it's not called buying it for the
Okay,
house.
not food, but physical items for the house. That's
If
kosher.
it increases its value, yes. Okay? So if you bought a new sofa, that does not increase the value of your home.
What about the overdraft again for the business? Is that allowed for a business?
Yes.
It's allowed. You don't
Yes.
have to consult a rabbi.
No. For a business, no. Okay? So, as we see, money is a complex issue. It's a very delicate issue. When they say money turns the world around, it's not that far from being true. What we want to do is we want to be careful with the thing we ask for. If a person is asking for health, but he does not watch his own health, what kind of a request is that? Right? If you see him gobbling down hamburgers and and French fries and then a Diet Coke, okay, which I never got. There's that Diet Coke doing that, but on the tray. But okay, and he goes, "Oh God, please help me lose weight and help me." It sounds like a joke. Okay, so if a person goes out and he's stealing from here and lending or borrowing with interest, and and he says, "Oh God, help me! I would like to be more financially secure." What kind of a request is that? So we wanna, but you don't know the rules. Study them, learn them. I didn't know them either. I had no idea that coming back 5 minutes late from a 15-minute break was called stealing from my boss. I didn't know. Everybody was doing it. So it must be right? Okay? I didn't know that making phone calls out of that free phone in your office is not called free. I had no idea. I didn't know that showing my appreciation to somebody who helped me out, okay, is called I have this situation. I have a landlord that was very patient with me. Very patient with me. Came holidays. I had the urge to show him my appreciation. I mean, landlords like that are rare. Now comes the holiday, comes Purim. You want to give him mishloach manot, right? Everybody knows what a mishloach manot is, right? It's a good excuse for diabetes, right? That mishloach manot. So you want to give him a nice mishloach manot to show your appreciation, and that's where you have to hold yourself back. You have to give him the same mishloach manot you would give him if he would not have been patient with you, because by not paying him, he then essentially lent you the money for the period. Right? He let you supposedly live there for free until you pay it back. So it's as if he gave you a loan. The last point I want to give is that God governs people in the way they see the world and they act upon the world. If you'll be kind and open and giving with your money, if you will share your wealth and help others, that's how God treats you back. God treats people the way they see, perceive, and act towards the world, as long as it does not contradict the rules of the Torah. I always have to add that addendum, right? Some people say, you know, then I feel that it's a nice thing to do this, this, and that, and they're like, Hashem Yerachem, you know. That's not what we mean. Okay? As long as it does not contradict, share. I was at the supermarket. I was buying, what did they had a sale on like milk or bread or whatever, right? I needed 3 loaves of bread, and they had a sale. You get a 4th loaf of bread for a shekel. So I took a 4th one. So my wife asked me, you know, what are we going to do with 4 loaves of bread? I mean, it's just going to dry out. Nobody's going to eat it. I said, we give it to the neighbors. It's a shekel. Why not take it? Give it to the neighbors. We have neighbors who could use it, right? If there was a sale for produce right before Pesach, and for no money you order produce, and they only had large. I mean, you could only order the smallest amount of potatoes was 20 kilo, of carrots was 10 kilo. Right, you get a bag of 10 kilo of carrots. Now, even if you sit down the whole week and just eat carrots until you turn orange, you're not going to finish 10 kilo of carrots, right? Give it to the neighbors. Share it with your friends. Go to the kollel. Say, hey guys, who needs carrots? Right? Divide it up into 1 kilo bags. Hand it out to Avrahim. Help out others. What goes around? Comes around. And we definitely want money to come around to us, right? If anybody went out and even read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, without having access to the Torah, he came to that conclusion. It is so evident in day-to-day life that without knowing it in advance, he came to that conclusion. So for us, having been promised by God, why not? People share your wealth. You'll get it back 10 times fold. And the other way around is also true. Is that there? Okay, now we're going to questions about this session, before or any other questions, not necessarily about wealth. Next session is only questions and answers, so start piling them up. Write them down. They say that the opposite of forgetting is writing. Okay? So if you don't want to forget your questions, by next week, write them down. But tonight, if there are any questions regarding any issue in Judaism, or not Judaism, I'll be glad to try and help.
You talked about the rules, but you said there were rules of when to give.
When to give?
Yeah.
When to give is, the best is as close to the time that you receive as possible. It's better not to let that money lie in your closet. Now, there is a sgula the sgula is a means of improving the mitzvah a bit. Okay? What we do is we take actual cash, and I take the exact amount of 10 or 20% as much as I want to give, right? But 10 or 20%, and I say, this is the maaser. Now it holds within it's if you can do that, it's better than doing the bank transfer, because in a bank transfer you don't get to actually do it. Will it still work with the bank transfer issue? Yes, but it's better this way. You actually have it now. Sometimes I'm a little off, right? I earned I don't know, 750 shekels today. I have to give 75 shekels masrot. I only have a 100 shekel bill. I hold with my hand the 100 shekel. I say 75 of it is a maaser. 1 to 1, right? 75% is maaser. The other 25 is just my donation. I then take that 100 shekels, that's maaser. I put it in an envelope. Every week or two, it piles up. You go give it. You'd like to pile it up some more, once a month, go do it. You get paid once a month. You do it this way. Say that? Yes. Tzachi, you seem to have a question?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, congratulations. Okay.
That's the one, actually.
Yeah? Okay.
Except one thing, actually. That was one.
Ah, you see.
Yeah, look, with the banks, I mean, we live in a Jewish state. I mean, it shouldn't make any difference for the banks here. I mean, regulations about interest.
It goes like this. In order for a body to give money with interest to somebody else, there has to be what's called heter iska.
Yeah.
Heter iska, under certain conditions, allow you to give interest, some of which we learned here today, like being a business or owning a property. Some years back, around 10 or 15 years back, it was found that though the banks claimed to have heter iska, they didn't really honor it. They looked at it like a trick to get the people who abide by the Jewish laws to come and put their money in the bank. It was brought to the attention of our Chachamim, the Gdolei Hador of that era.
15 years ago.
Yeah, they checked it. They found it to be true that they do not honor. They then gave an order for everybody to pull their money out of the banks, and they just started doing so one after the other. I mean, they first turned to the banks and told them, look, you cannot say you have heter iska and then not honor it. It breaks the heter iska. It turns out that you give illegal rebit or charge illegal rebit if you don't pertain by the rules of the contract. They said, we don't care. So you don't care, fine. There was an order given to pull the money out of the banks. People went out, they broke savings accounts. You know, some saving programs, if you take them out early, you lose the interest. Doesn't matter. Everybody started pulling their money out of the banks. They panicked. They came back crawling. And they said, look, we're going to honor it now. And they said, no. Now, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it right. They drafted a uniform contract of heter iska to all the large bank bodies and the credit card companies. They made a whole media frenzy about it. They published it. They put it in the newspaper. They forced the bank to take a whole page ad, print that contract in there, and write their own support that they are paying for this ad, and so they can never back down from it. Only then do we get to put our money in there. Now, it's a very interesting thing. It comes to your benefit. Why? Because a heter iska means that the bank becomes 50% partner in whatever it is you do your business at. Okay? So if you can prove that every shekel you took from the bank went towards your business, and the business, by no fault of you, failed, they lose 25% of their investment in the business. Which means, it doesn't really happen often, but it could, chas v'shalom, happen. If a person takes a loan from the bank in order to buy an apartment, the banks work in a way where they don't give you the money. They give the money directly to the
Seller.
contractor, the seller, okay? Or the bank of the seller. So you don't need to prove that the money went 100% into the business. They're the ones who put it in the business, okay? And then, by no fault of yours, it was lost. Either the value depreciated, or I don't know what happened. You only give them back 75% of their money.
Because of the terrorist camp.
That's right.
Only in Israel.
Only in Israel.
Okay.
One other question: if it's not Jewish, if you're getting a loan from someone not Jewish, does that waive all these rules?
Everything went
It
out the
waives it.
window. Yeah, you're allowed to charge him interest as much as you want. Go
Would
for
it be
it.
easier for the banks to be non-Jewish owned? Solve the entire problem?
If you're dealing with the U.S. bank, go for it.
No, here in Israel.
Non-Jewish owned.
Yeah. That way they could do that everything that relating to interest.
I don't know of any banks in Israel that
No, I'm
are
saying
non-Jewish.
wouldn't it make it easier?
If there were,
I mean, halachically speaking.
yeah, betach it would.
Okay.
But where can we find non-Jewish owned banks in Israel?
Well,
I-
you
it's
find
difficult-
non-Jews to buy them.
I'm sorry?
You find non-Jews to buy the banks, you solve the problem.
Well, good luck selling. I don't see a
But
bank.
like buying it first in order to sell it.
No, currently banks in Israel are Jewish owned.
Mhm.
So they need to sell it to a non-Jew.
Sure, that's what I said.
So they will not,
Not gonna happen.
mamash lo. Matter of fact, good luck finding a bank outside of Israel that doesn't have a Jewish hand in it. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, the next question is, if the majority owner is not Jewish, let's say it's 20%, and everything else is like a bunch of different owners.
Mhm.
So the primary owner is not Jewish, but everybody else is. So do we still have the interest problem?
It's an excellent question. I do not know the answer.
Okay. Fair enough.
But if it does have practical implications in your life, feel free to contact me, and I will bring another check for you.
All right.
Seder?
What about tax deduction? Because usually when you give, you can deduce one part of what you gave from your tax.
Go for
Does
it.
Yeah, but does it decrease? Do we consider that you didn't give 10% or?
Oh, as far as having benefit from giving charity. Very good question. Do you hear the question, Jonathan? It goes like this. She says, when you give a donation, you get a tax deduction. A certain percentage of whatever you gave donation is a tax deduction. Now we know that there is an isur hana'ami me'asrot. One is not allowed to benefit from the me'aser himself. Over here, you benefit from the me'aser. Are you allowed to? Since it's indirect, you might not have an issue with it. Okay? You don't get a benefit from the place or the thing you gave the money to. You give the money here, and some other guy says, hey, you're a nice person, let me give you a tax deduction. It doesn't seem like it might be a problem.
Because they all give you papers, like they're religious institutions, they give you papers.
Yeah, but that paper is useless. It only has a value against the tax.
Yeah, it's for the tax,
Bodies.
the government.
Pseudo. So then it's not as if you benefited directly from where you put the money. Okay?
One
So
question.
you might be able to do so. I don't think there is a problem, but again, if it's of practical of practical implications, I would love to check for you.
So if, for example, Chabad has a raffle, and you buy a raffle ticket and you get a prize, is that getting a benefit?
That's what we were talking. That's exactly what I
The
was
same
thinking
thing?
about. That's exactly what I was thinking about. That's not a problem.
Is it called still giving to charity?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
it counted as
Yeah,
giving to charity?
definitely,
Even if you get a benefit
Definitely.
from a raffle?
More than that, let's say you're in a synagogue, right?
Yes.
And comes the holidays, and we know they sell the Ptichat Echal, and they're bringing out the Sefer Torah and going up to the Torah, right? The Aliyot. Whatever money you give to the synagogue is called charity and can come out of your 10%. So there, even though, but I got to go up to the Torah and I got all this honor and everybody, you know, are like, oh, wow, eh?
So how is this justified?
Huh?
How is this justified? Because you are getting something specific for that money that you're giving to this shul.
One of the ideas behind it is that, first of all, you're not actually buying the aliyah. You don't get to buy the aliyah. They give it to the highest bidder in order to encourage donations, but you're not buying it. You cannot say, I want to buy the Kohen aliyah and go up to Kohen, and they won't let the Kohen go up. You don't get to buy it. So there, if they decide that they don't want to give it to you, even though you bought it, they don't give it to you. It's that simple. You don't get to buy it. There are some people we don't take up to read from the Torah, right? If a person is somebody who himir dato, he converted his religion, and now I don't know, it's his son's bar mitzvah, and his son wants to honor him and to give him aliyah. Even though he is willing to pay for it, you don't let him up. Okay, so you don't actually buy it.
Okay.
You go up, wonderful. They try to encourage you to give donations. So there, it happens often that people, you know, there's a confusion and two people thought they bought the aliyah. So what do? They decide between themselves who goes up. So you see, it's not an actual sale. If it's an actual sale, then you have to find out who was the original buyer, and he's the owner. Okay?
Okay.
So you're allowed to do things to encourage people to give donations, but you can't give them direct benefit from it. Okay? So you cannot go out and say, look, these are holy books, I'd like to buy them from Masrot. You can buy holy books from Masrot if you're about to give them as donation to some kollel or a shiva or school somewhere. Okay? If you'd like to buy sidurim, okay, for your synagogue, local synagogue is short of sidurim.
That's tier 1?
Huh?
That's considered tier 1? Tier 2?
Definitely tier 2. I thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Be'ezrat Hashem, we're going to meet next week. Yes.
Question. In a concrete way, if you want to do the number 1 and you're new in Tel Aviv, like, who do you give? I mean, they want to give to poor people in Tel Aviv. I don't know who to give it to. Like,
So, first of all, there is a synagogue next to where you live.
plenty, yeah.
Very good. Find the nearest Orthodox synagogue.
Yeah.
In Tel Aviv, unfortunately, there is everything, and we have to be careful of that everything. It used to be that if you saw a synagogue was a synagogue. These days, it says synagogue on the door, you go inside, there could be sacrificing cats in the back. I don't know. I mean, this is Tel Aviv, okay? Weird things are happening here.
This is true.
Find an Orthodox synagogue. Ultra-Orthodox.
It can be Chabad.
No, it can be
Wonderful.
Orthodox, also in Tel Aviv.
Okay? Find one, a local rabbi, tell him what you're looking for. Tell him you're looking for a family of Avrachim who are poor. Okay? You can find a kollel. Knoll, right here, where we're sitting in Malon Dvora, Knoll has a kollel. When you come here and you see these people studying in pairs, right? This is part of his kollel. This kollel goes on the whole day. And it has a lot more people during the day.
So even I come see Jonathan, or
What?
if I want to go to the kollel, I go come to see you, or
Yeah, you can ask
A
the,
lot.
You can,
the owner of the,
the owner of the hotel is called Knoll. He walks around here all the time. He's also the owner of the kollel. You can ask him, do you have any poor families in your Avrachim? I would like to give them.
One more question.
Yes.
I understand you said that the Levites, there's two kinds, Kohanim and Levi. And I understand that all the Cohens come from Aaron. So where do the Levites come from? Who are they the descendants of?
Of
Who?
Yaakov Avinu.
Yaakov?
Yaakov, yeah.
Jacob.
Yeah.
Okay.
His son Levi.
Wait a minute.
That's
So
right.
all the Levis are coming
Are
from
the children
of
the son Levi of Yaakov.
Jacob.
נכון?
So they're the family of Jacob, they're the Levis. Yeah?
No. Yaakov had 12 children.
Yes.
נכון?
So all of their children.
Every single one of them is a tribe.
Okay.
So there's a tribe called Dan, there's a tribe called Menashe,
Okay.
there's a tribe called Reuven, because he had a son called Menashe,
Okay.
a son called Dan, a son called Reuven. He also had a son called Levi.
Okay.
The children of that son are the tribe of Levi.
Just the one of Levi out of his
That's
12.
right. That's out of his 12.
Out of the 12. Okay.
Okay. Now that Levi has a subcategory,
Yes.
the children of Aaron and his children,
Yes.
that are the Kohanim.
Okay. I understand that.
Okay.
I was wondering where Moses, because Moses was a Levi, and I thought all the descendants of Moses were.
Levim also. He's
That's
also
what
a
I thought.
Levi.
That's what I thought.
But
Levi came before Moses.
Sorry?
Levi came before Moses.
Levi
so
came before
Moses
Moses.
was like
The
the
Kohanim are coming from the
great-grandchild
Levites.
child.
Levi came before Moses. You just helped me.
yes.
Yeah. So it's Levi, then Moses,
Okay.
Aaron, and so on and
Okay.
so forth.
Okay, and that's how all the tribes, when the children of Yaakov went down to Egypt,
Yeah.
the whole family, everybody together with Yaakov and the wives and everybody were 70 people. When they came out of Egypt, the lowest estimate is 3 million. This is the lowest estimate. After they left 4 parts, 12 million
Yes.
dead in Egypt. Okay, so there were 15 million. How do you get 70 people to become 50 million? Well, first of all, it requires a constant miracle. The idea is that you have to give birth to 6 children. Mathematically, it breaks out that you have to give birth to 6 children every time you give birth.
Oh.
So you have to give birth a few times, each time 6 children. Only then can you go from 70 to 15 million
Yeah.
within 210 years.
Unless you have many wives. No?
With the many wives.
With the many.
With the many wives, the only way to do it. I mean, it's a numbers game. I mean, you work out the details, you come out that it has to break in exponential steps of 6. Okay? So they had 6 children with the many wives and all the other good stuff to break out. Okay, now how did it work out? There were 12 sons. Every son and his wife, whatever family broke off from them, became the tribe named by that son.
Okay.
Okay? So all the children of the person called Dan became the tribe of Dan. All the okay? That's how they broke out. And the children of Levi were the priests. Okay? The actual priests were the children of Aaron, the Kohanim. They're the priest's assistants. They help him out. But today, anyone can be a Kohen. Not in practice. We don't get to actually do any of the works of a Kohen, and we're not obligated by the limitations of a Kohen.
But there are not so many out there.
What, Kohanim?
Yes.
Oh, there's plenty.
How many do you suggest are in Israel?
I don't know the numbers, but if you go to I know of one synagogue
I heard in Tel Aviv.
that has the one that I'm talking about is in Cholon. One synagogue in Cholon I know that has more than one minyan in the morning on Shabbat, and each one of the minyanim holds approximately 50 to 70 Kohanim.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's plenty of Kohanim, Baruch Hashem, and they have obligations, and they have limitations, and they get the honor of being the first in any good thing. Okay? So now we can be Kohanim by devoting ourselves to the work of God and reaping the benefits without any of the obligations.
Oh yeah.
Right? A Kohen, for example, cannot go into a
cemetery.
graveyard.
Also not a non-Jewish one?
Also not a non-Jewish.
No, you can go to a non-Jewish one, as far as I know.
No, I actually don't think so.
למה? מטמא באוהל, לא?
No, but,
גם גוי מטמא.
You know, the thing is that I've asked a rabbi from Sydney. The thing is that in Sydney, like you have like a cemetery right next to the beach, and people actually go to jog in the cemetery. So I've asked the rabbi, like the Lubavitcher.
נכון, נכון, נכון. נכון, נכון, אין לך טומאה, נכון?
I've asked the Lubavitcher rabbi. He told me there's no problem.
נכון, you're absolutely right. I take it back, my mistake, edit, erase, fix. Yes, you're right. A non-Jewish cemetery, you could. But it's an issue going to a Jewish not only cemeteries, also hospitals.
Yeah.
Also hospitals. And you have Jewish hospitals outside of Israel. Okay? One of the most famous ones, Sinai Hospital in Los Angeles. Cedar Sinai Hospital in Los Angeles. An issue for Kohanim to go in. Okay? A Kohen cannot marry anyone. He has limitations whom he can marry. His children whom they can marry. It's not easy to be a Kohen. Okay, you have to get up early, go to synagogue, do Birkat Kohanim. Okay?
Go to the Torah and then replace the Levi that never come. Yeah.
Replace a what?
And then replace the Levi which never there.
Yeah, you get to stay up if the Levi does not show up. Okay? But then again, you get the benefit of going up to the Torah without usually having to buy the Aliyah.
Yeah, I know. It's,
So there is a benefit.
It's a good deal, yeah. No,
Yeah, it's a nice deal. Okay? So there are benefits and there are obligations, there are restrictions. But then anyone can be a Kohen without the restrictions and obligations. And that's the beauty of our generation. Anyone can be a Kohen.
How much does it cost?
This is a Jewish question.
The cost is time.
You're
to-
actually being serious. Anybody could be a Kohen.
Again, not in those terms. You do not get to go up to the Torah and you're not restricted to
So what do
things.
you mean by that? Anybody could be a Kohen.
The Kohanim are God's private army. Okay? Well, they have certain benefits. For example, their parnasa is promised. Okay? Almost regardless of effort. Almost regardless of effort. They almost do not have to do effort directly
Still
for
today,
parnasa.
today.
Yeah. Again, today is as long as they serve.
So you're saying anybody who chooses to serve, in other words, like an avrech,
Not like.
an avrech is like a Kohen, and not like he's a Kohen.
He's a Kohen, but he doesn't have the restrictions. He also doesn't get all the benefits. He doesn't get up to be first to go to the Torah. Okay? But amongst the Israel, the Avrech is the first.
Okay.
Okay? So let's say I'm about to serve meals. And there are no Kohanim in the room. Or let's say there's a Kohen, right? He gets served first. You're also a Kohen, right?
Yeah.
He also gets served. Who's next?
Avrechim.
Levi.
Avrechim.
Talmid Chacham. Yeah.
Talmid
לפני
Chacham.
Levi?
Talmid Chacham.
Yeah, but also like I've heard that like let's say during benching, if there is Talmid Chacham or a Kohen which is not that smart, let's not mention any names, but anyways, so you should, so the Talmid Chacham should bless.
I remember there is a debate in the halacha regarding that. I don't remember what the hachra'ah was. I don't think it was the Talmid Chacham, but I'm not certain. Okay? Kohanim have a virtue of being a Kohen just coming out of his mother's stomach. A Kohen just coming out of his mother's stomach is already a Kohen.
Yeah.
He's already asur begrusha begioret. He's already asur. He cannot come in touch with the dead. He's already there.
We're also like very angry people, by the way. Yeah.
They don't call it angry. The Gemara says that they have hot blood.
Yeah.
They can use it towards other things.
Yeah.
They don't have to aim it towards anger.
Yeah.
They can put it towards doing great and make great things. Okay? But it's known that they do have Okay? They're also known, if you want somebody to put his emotions aside and do what needs to be done, grab a Kohen. Okay? When the Jewish people sinned with the golden calf, okay? And Moshe said, okay, that's it. We need to cleanse the herd. We need to get rid of the people who are causing problems. And getting rid of the people, pretty much literally. Okay? Take out your swords and go at them. Who did he call? Levi. That's right. Because when something needs to be done, if you want somebody to be able to put their emotions aside, and my dentist is a Kohen, and trust me, I keep reminding him that every single time. He's right in there, I tell him, look, I know what it says about your tribe, but you don't have to practice it on me. You can do it with some emotions. Sit down. Okay? So there are advantages to having that. But yeah, now we're all privy to that great privilege of becoming Kohanim, and if I cannot become a Kohen myself, I can then support a Kohen, and then I have part in his kehuna. Okay? So when I support an Avrech, and that Avrech can now sit down and study, it writes on my book upstairs, studied for X hours a day. Even though I didn't get to study for X hours a day. Okay? Just like if I build a synagogue or I give a donation to a synagogue, it said, prayed, 12 times a day. How can it be 12? I'm only allowed to pray 3 times a day. I said, yeah, but you donated books and you paid some of the lighting and air conditioning, right? So people got to pray thanks to you. There you go. Okay? It's so easy. It's so easy. Mamash, you don't even have to work hard. Today they make it so easy for you. It's like Gerber. It's already processed, it's grinded, it's ready to go. Just take it and go and open up the doors for wealth, and you will see it coming upon you. You won't even know what to do with it. שיהיה לכם הרבה שפע. May you all be blessed with a lot of good wealth and know what to do with it. We should see each other, Be'ezrat Hashem, next week. Have a wonderful week.